everyone, this is Professor Benjamin, and the purpose of this video is to give you a walkthrough of your final exam. You can find a review for the final exam under the population session, so right here is the review for the final, and right under it I will give you the walkthrough video, which is what I am making right now. So again, just like the midterm exam, you're given 3 hours and 1 chance to take the final exam. All sources must be used from the content I've given you within the course modules, and that includes, of course, the text, the PowerPoint, and any additional videos and podcasts. And again, it's highly suggested that you type out your answers before the midterm exam, before the final exam, just like you did on your midterm, and then copy and paste into the final exam portal. Again, preparation before the final exam is really the key to your success. So let's take a walkthrough. I'm just going to click open. I thought I had already opened it, but I guess I didn't. So the review for the final, it's the same setup as the midterm. All the questions that are on the final exam are given to you in the final exam review. There's just some header information there at the top, and let's take a walkthrough. So the first questions deal with air pollution. One question dealing with air pollution. This answer cannot be from the internet, but rather through your text, remember, and through the roundups that I've given you. What is the ozone layer and the purpose of the ozone layer? Where is it located in the atmosphere? So I want to know whether it's the stratosphere, the thermosphere, any of the layers. I want you to be specific about where it's located. I don't want to give you the answer here. And what is the purpose of it? The ozone layer. How is the ozone layer destroyed? That's terrible English, but how is the ozone layer being destroyed and how it can be fixed? I want you to explain to me what are the CFCs? What are the pollutants that are causing the destruction of the ozone layer? How does that actually destroy the ozone layer? So I want you to kind of go into the chemical equation of how that happens. What protocol was enacted to stop CFC use in developed countries? So I want you to talk about the Montreal Protocol. Explain the difference between good and bad ozone. So there's both good and bad ozone. There's ozone that can be found in that layer of the atmosphere that protects us from that UVA and UVB radiation, but the bad ozone layer is ground level ozone, and that's what we call smog, and I want you to talk about that. So a lot of this can be usually found in your roundups, so make sure you take a look at that. Why is indoor air pollution more of a threat to humans than outdoor air pollution? And this can be found in the text, in the modules, etc. But indoor air pollution is a lot more potent. It is contains a variety of chemicals that are unregulated, things that we don't know about in our furniture, in our rugs. We spray a lot of stuff like Febreze. We use a lot of chemicals in our home, burn candles, lots of things. So I want you to talk about those. Session 8 deals with climate change. Climate change cannot be found on the internet, but through the text, PowerPoint, and through your own words. What is climate change related to this class, and how does global warming cause climate change? So I want you to talk about that. A lot of these answers can be found in roundups. What causes ocean current patterns to change, and how do they play a role in climate change? And this can be found in both the water session and climate change session, so I want you to talk about that. Look in the PowerPoints, etc. What is the greenhouse effect, and how does this play its role in climate change? So I want you to talk about the greenhouse effect. What pollutants are responsible for the greenhouse effect? So bring that into the conversation. And then the next question is explain mitigating and adaptive techniques in terms of climate change, so ways that we adapt to climate change and ways that we try and mitigate climate change, and I want you to give me 2 examples of each and explain the definition. What does the term carrying capacity mean? And this can be found in the population chapters in your OER textbook. Why does the human population need to remain below the carrying capacity in order to be sustainable? So I want you to be really detailed about that. Water. Why is the water cycle important? I want you to talk in detail about the water cycle and why it's important. What are permeable versus non-permeable surfaces and their effect on runoff? And we did a assignment on this under the water session, so you should be very familiar with this question. What are the environmental consequences of surface water runoff? And then define point source and non-point source pollution in relation to water, PowerPoint, and the text. Give 2 examples of point source pollution and 2 examples of non-point source pollution in terms of water, not air, because a lot of people sometimes get confused with point source and non-point source pollution in terms of air and in terms of water. Non-renewable resources. Explain the difference between renewable and non-renewable energy. Provide examples in your explanation of both renewable and non-renewable resources. The next question deals with the film Gasland. So it's really important that you've watched Gasland, either Gasland 1 or Gasland 2. How are water sources contaminated because of hydraulic fracturing? I don't want you just to tell me because people can light their water on fire. There's a lot more to this question than that, and I want you to give me specific examples, just like in Fed Up. You need to give specific examples as to how Gasland, in the film, Gasland explains to you how water sources are contaminated, and I want you to do that. And then Session 13, Renewable Resources. Describe in detail 3 advantages and disadvantages to geothermal. So I want you to talk about geothermal. I want you to give me 3 detailed advantages and disadvantages to the use of geothermal energy. They can be found in the text, PowerPoint, and module. The next question is, why are renewable energy sources less likely to be accepted by the mainstream population? This can be found in the PowerPoint and in the in your text, and it talks specifically about the fact that, you know, these are newer technologies. The government doesn't subsidize them. There's a lot of uncertainty with them. People don't know how to use them, or they're just unfamiliar with the new technology. So sometimes we shy away from using things when we're not familiar with them. Younger generations will probably be a little bit more inclined to use things that they don't know how to use. Like, for example, your cell phones come without directions. You kind of just jump in and start using it, right? But a lot of the older generations have never not had instructions included in something. And with that comes that idea of, oh my gosh, I don't want to use it because I don't know how to use it, or I may break it, when in reality that's not what's going to happen, but they feel that way. So you want to make sure you take a look at that and explain. So hopefully this walkthrough gave you some clues as to what's on the final exam, how to prepare for the final exam. You're familiar with my process, my grading process at this point in the semester, so just do your best to prepare, and I know you will succeed.